5 ways to stop a shame spiral. Hey there, I'm Dr. Jane, joined by the beautiful Coach Kendra.
Hello, Dr. Jane. So happy to have you here today. You know, when we're in that shame cycle, the very idea of even thinking about being kind to ourselves is really so hard to even think about. We feel like
Because we don't deserve it, because we're
100%.
shame on me.
Yeah, 100%. We feel like we're undeserved. It's uncomfortable. It's just an unnatural feeling for us because we're in that shame cycle. So today we're going to talk about 5 key steps on how to transform shame with just self-compassion. Self-compassion. So,
you know, the thing that I teach a lot about shame, about that cycle, is self-talk. And a big tool that I recommend is journaling. Even if you journal down the actual shame thoughts, and we've done this before with our group when we've been doing vision boarding, you journal down those shame thoughts that you keep repeating to yourself, that I'm not good enough, or, you know, those very specific things that you say to yourself, and then ask yourself, is this actually my truth? You're going to come up with some very different affirmations. So that's, you know, that's a really, really great starting step, I think. What are your steps, Kendra?
Well, what I was just thinking about is shame and guilt are very closely related. What is the 2 differences between shame and guilt, in your opinion, Dr. Jane?
I believe shame is mostly internal. It is a self-judgment of lack.
Yes.
And guilt is a feeling. They're very closely linked, but guilt is a feeling of falling short of external things.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. And yeah, that makes it a little easier to understand for those of you who, because I've heard that before, shame, if you think about shame and guilt and you're trying to figure out, okay, what exactly is the difference? So that was
when you were little, did you ever make a mistake and somebody said, shame on you?
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't actually give you shame. It only gives you shame if you say, oh, yes, shame on me, I'm terrible. And then you feel shame toward yourself, and then you feel guilt that you disappointed that person.
Yeah. Okay. That's a great.
If somebody tries to throw shame on you, you can be like, Teflon, I'm not letting it on me. Because you allow shame. You're not ever shame.
Gotcha. So some ways to kind of understand or help the process or helps transform your shame that you're feeling with some self-compassion. We've got 5 things. And the first thing is understand the nature of shame. You know, shame is normal. We all feel shame. Shame is the brain's way of dealing with the threat of a disconnection, is the way that I would put it. So, you know, but the understanding that it's a normal thing to feel. It's what happens is when we start feeling shame, then we feel guilty or shameful that we're feeling shame. So understanding that it is a normal feeling, that because we're human, we will at some point in our lives feel that feeling.
But when you feel it, recognize that you're feeling it.
Yes.
And tell yourself, while this is normal, I don't want this to be my normal. So let's get the heck out of this shame pot.
Yeah. And recognizing that it's not you, that it's just an emotion. So you know, giving it a label for what it is, it's an emotion. It's like all the other emotions that we experience. It's not who you are. I know
it's not who you are, but it can lead to depression. It can lead to that downward spiral, and there's a whole bunch of darkness down that spiral. So be grateful when you recognize that you're feeling it. And I know that might sound weird, like, I'm so grateful that I'm feeling shame. You're not grateful that you're feeling shame. You're grateful that you're intuitive enough to recognize that you're feeling shame so that you can say, hey, that's shame. See you later.
Exactly. The other tip is to replace the judgment. So as you were saying earlier, shame is basically judging yourself. Replace the judgment with curiosity. You know, be curious about why you're feeling that feeling. I love to put it this way, and I've told some of my clients this, be an investigator. When you look at it from an investigator eyes and you're not placing judgment on it, you can kind of get in your helicopter, take a little helicopter view and kind of just look at it and without any judgment, and so that you can get a, get an idea of why you might be feeling that way, especially if it keeps coming up in certain situations.
And if people have habitual shame, they might be like, how can you do this without judging? Just through practice, you're not going to get there to, we call it in the coaching world, judgment-free awareness. It's actually a skill that you can develop, that through our training to be professional coaches, we have developed that skill and been coached and taught through that skill. It's a skill, judgment-free awareness. Write that into your notes. If you're not taking notes, take notes, open the comments, type in, I need to develop judgment-free awareness. And you can. It's simply allowing yourself to understand that you have your emotions, you experience your emotions, but you are not your emotions. You experience shame, but you are not shame. And then through recognizing that separation between you are you and you experience this, you can then observe it. Yeah. I love the investigator analogy.
I do too. And when you look at it that way, it kind of shifts you into a more caring and understanding perspective about what your emotions are. You know what I mean? And you learn, then you start gaining some insight into who you really are, and understanding your emotions. Another thing to think about is acknowledge your inner critic. So your inner critic likes to remind you and amplify your shame. But if you remind your inner critic that you're a work in progress, you're doing the best you can, you're working on it, talking, because that's what it is. When I think about it, when I'm feeling shame, it's usually my little voice sitting up here talking to me, and then making it, and I'm saying, and they're saying things to me. And so if you remind your inner critic that you are working on it, you're human, you're doing the best you can to navigate this the best you can. And, and as you may need to get help or seek a coach out to understand some of this shame that you're experiencing. But we all do the best we can with what we have. And we have lots of things here at GILD Coaching to help you out with that as well.
Absolutely. And there's a link to my book, Truth Bomb, in the video description here. And it has tons of exercises that can help guide you through all of this. It's a self-exploration. One of the principal keys to emotional intelligence is awareness, and that's self-awareness. And so you've really got to dive in there. So that book may be of use to you.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And then the fifth useful thing, or the thing that we would say that I think is useful, is practice what is helpful, not what is harmful. So what I mean by this is talk to yourself as if you're talking to a friend. I know when I'm in a shame, or when I've ever been in a shame spiral, we say some of the worst things to ourselves.
Some of the worst things. That's why the journaling exercise is so meaningful, because when you actually look down at the paper and see the things that you've been saying to yourself, right, it makes them more real. And then you can kind of get angry on behalf of yourself, as though you're hearing someone who you love dearly being told this by someone outside and saying, nobody can say that to her.
Right. Exactly. And the way, so what I say is talk to yourself like you're talking to your friend. You would never talk to your friend that way. Say the things to yourself. Use some self-compassion when it comes to that shame cycle. And because if you're talking to yourself in a negative or in a bad way, it's just going to perpetuate that whole cycle, and then you feel guilt, shame about that. And so to stop that right in the crux, start treating yourself as if you would be talking or treating your best friend.
Yeah, and you have to program your self-talk. And the best way, I believe, to program your self-talk is by force feeding it positive affirmations. Now, a lot of people are like, affirmations. If you don't feel comfortable doing it, if you're in that negative self-talk spiral, I wouldn't write my own affirmations for myself, because you're not going to believe them.
Right.
So that's when I'd go to outside recordings. And we have a whole playlist here of guided affirmation sessions, meditation sessions, gratitude sessions. And most of them are specifically designed to be just 10 minutes long. It's less than 1% of your day, and anybody can do that. So go to that playlist. We'll link you there in this video description. Go to that playlist and pick the topic that really speaks to you. And if there's something that's not there, if there's a topic that's not there, tell us what topic that you want. We'll create affirmations just for you. All of those in there were inspired by clients of ours who needed custom affirmations. I just didn't write, this affirmation is for Susie Smith. Yeah, we just titled them so other people could benefit from them. But every single one of the things that's there was done specifically for a person. We've just decided to make them available to you too. So if you need something different, tell us and we'll make it.
Fantastic. You know, you can train your brain to really be compassionate towards yourself. You know, that's how you train your brain every morning, even if you don't feel like it's doing anything. Believe me, it is. But you have to also believe it in here as well. So that's great resources we have at GILD Coaching here. I'm so excited.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, if this has been of help to you, please give us a thumbs up and don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the bell so that you know the next time we drop a video to help you live a happier life with lower stress and more success.